what is the main objection right now, the Club for Growth, against a Donald Trump and perhaps a Cruz? What is it that your organization is most worried about?
The biggest thing I worry about is that Donald Trump, in fact, doesn't understand the Constitution. He says he'll slap taxes on people. Congress has to pass those. And ultimately, his economic policies would drive us into one of the deepest recessions, maybe a depression, because he'd tax people, he would regulate them, he would try to dictate whether they set up a plant here or somewhere else. Those type of things ruin the economy and cost us millions of people their jobs. That's the biggest complaint we have about Donald Trump.
I didn't hear that. What tax was that, Dave? What exactly, what tax was that?
That's the threat he made to Ford, that if they don't do what he wants and locate the plant where they want him to, he's going to slap a tariff, a big tax on them.
Oh, so you're talking about trade, not tax policy, right? You're talking about trade, not tax policy.
Tariff, ultimately, the American people pay those tariffs in taxes. They pay for higher
I just want to make sure we're not misleading the viewers here.
We're not. We're telling them the truth, that Donald Trump would slap all these tariffs on these goods, and they're the ones that will have to pay for it.
Hold on a second, because Herman Cain, Herman Cain is saying that you're sort of misrepresenting these things here.
David, you, with all due respect, you're misrepresenting it. Donald Trump was the first one to specify his replacement for the tax code. Now, that does not raise taxes on most of the people. In fact, it lowers taxes on most of the people. Yes, maybe a few places. Now, as far as some tariffs, Donald Trump may say he's going to do that, but he knows he can't do it. He knows he can't do it without the approval of Congress. So I wouldn't interpret words that say he's going to make a company do something with actual tax policy when he has a specific tax plan that does not create a recession.
What do you say to the critics who say that all of the Democrats, and I think they scored Donald Trump's is the one that actually, all of them, though, they say, all the GOP rather, that their tax policies would hike the deficit. We saw today that the deficit came in at the deficit is going to be $544 billion, up $100 billion, and start to go higher. You know, we're going to be back to annual trillion-dollar deficits. We're already $18 trillion. This was another issue that really mattered to the grassroots. I think this was the key issue that sparked and united the Tea Party movement.
That's
exactly.
Right.
Now, they are misrepresented, and here's why. They use static scoring to come up with those conclusions, which means they don't assume that there's going to be a change in economic behavior, changes in consumer patterns. That's why they are always ready to hit Republicans and say you're going to add to the deficit.
So I'll just add for the audience. In other words, the more money you keep, you'll spend that money. They're not assuming you'll spend it, but if you can keep a lot more of it, more than likely the American DNA will go out there and spend it, particularly if we're confident that you won't come back and take it from us as a government.
That's exactly right.
Right, and that's where they get some of the scoring wrong, and that's why they always say the CBO can't be manipulated. But Katrina, you know, later on, I wanted to talk a little bit then, and David hit on this thing. When Trump talked yesterday at Liberty about making Apple bring back manufacturing here, everybody wants Apple to bring back manufacturing. We want those jobs to come back from China and other places. But you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. A, are they high-paying jobs? Because Foxconn has a whole, like 1 million people making $5 a week. Two, what kind of legal issues would he run into trying to force an American company back here to bring back business here?
Well, when Donald Trump says things like that, he's talking about policy specific by creating the economy and changing up the trade deals to make it easier for companies to come back and bring the $2 trillion back into the country so that manufacturers can come back. And that's what he talks about when he's speaking specifically about Apple itself or even the tariffs that Dave was confusing with something else. Just in December, Charles, you'll know that the United States put tariffs on solar panels from China and Taiwan. Why? Because of the currency manipulation and the illegal subsidies they're getting to make it a fair trade, not just trade where we're losing money, but a fair trade. So when he talks about these things, he's talking about changing specific policies with regard to trade, with regard to corporate tax, so that we can bring these jobs back. He's not saying that he's going to go and force these CEOs to come back at gunpoint. He's just saying he's going to make a hospitable economy so that these jobs do come back.